then atheism, by its own criterion, is a folly, since it is itself a faith position. Former atheist-turned-Christian biophysicist Alistair McGrath notes that the simple fact of the matter is that atheism is a faith, which draws conclusions that go beyond the available evidence. For example, the atheist must presuppose that his cognitive faculties are reliable for gathering information about the external world. He must have faith that science itself is a reliable tool for studying the external world. The atheist must also go beyond scientific data to make philosophical arguments, ones based on faith that God does not exist or probably does not exist. This list can go on. No one needs to give religion special treatment, instead one should not outright disrespect others and their beliefs. Something that many of the new atheists are notorious for. Apologist Eric Mader explains, "I don't at all believe that atheists, as such, are inherently violent people. I do believe, however, very strongly, that those who support the new atheism are largely motivated by a deep-seated personal hatred for people of faith." Firstly, on atheism, good and evil, since suffering implies that evil exists, do not even exist. According to the former atheist Philip van der Elst, things like morality and the reality of good and evil has no more validity or significance than the sound of the wind in the trees. If atheism is true, also the fundamentalist atheist Richard Dawkins admits that there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. Such is consistent with atheism, if we follow it to its logical conclusion. Secondly, the Bible does offer answers to the reality of suffering. Some of the most notable biblical figures in the Bible, such as Job, David, Paul, the disciples and Jesus himself, stand out for us as role models and inspiration for dealing with the reality of suffering that we humans experience. Unlike atheism, the Christian worldview does not deny its existence. Further, the Bible gives us an explanation as to why suffering and evil exist, since it is a result of rebellion against God. And the Bible informs us who is behind it. The Bible also affirms that enduring suffering actually strengthens us, and that it is a test of faith. We are also told that suffering, a product of the fall of man, will one day end when God wraps up human history for good. In fact, most powerful is that suffering is at the very center of Christianity in Jesus' sacrificial death on the cross for our redemption. Even Jesus tells us that we will suffer, if we follow him, and he even goes as far as to say that the persecuted are blessed. Well, where's atheism's explanation for the reality of suffering? The answer to that is simple: it doesn't even have one. That is how explanatorily insufficient the atheistic worldview is. This simply misunderstands a popular argument that theists make for the existence of God via objective morals and duties. Arguably one of the world's leading apologists is that of the philosopher William Lane Craig, who is the forerunner of the arguments for God's existence. He formulates the moral argument thusly. 1. If God does not exist, objective moral values do not exist. 2. Objective moral values do exist. 3. Therefore, God exists. Note that in no way is the argument claiming that non-religious people cannot be moral. The argument is instead focusing on whether morality is objective or subjective, and whether or not that would provide evidence for God's existence. No one here is denying that an atheist can act morally. Instead, what the issue for the atheist is how he grounds his moral experience. Upon what basis can he make the claim that we should act morally? Would the atheist tell others that it would be morally abominable to rape or torture women? Well, is that merely his subjective opinion, or is it objectively wrong to hurt others? So, no one, at least to my knowledge, is claiming that religion is the source of morality. On Christian theism, it is God himself who is the source of morality, so I don't think we need to take the mum's caricature seriously. Now this is simply becoming absurd. How does anyone know this? Has anyone ever investigated every nook and cranny of the universe in order to validate this claim? Certainly not. We haven't even been to Pluto, let alone to Alpha Centauri. What about the Big Bang? That would seem to be a thorn in the side of the atheist. How does he explain the origin of the physical universe, that our best scientific evidence suggests arose from nothing? No matter, no space-time, nothing. Robin Schumacher explains the difficulty for the atheist. To the atheist, that ultimate reality is an eternal universe, where only physical matter exists. Atheism's struggle is to explain how the universe is eternal, when all scientific discovery shows it had a beginning, and how sense and effect always resembles its cousin essence, an impersonal, non-conscious, meaningless, purposeless, and amoral universe accidentally created personal, conscious, moral beings who are obsessed with meaning and purpose. Since we cannot know that the universe is matter and nothing more, and since this is an unprovable assumption, it comes down to a classic example of faith, that it requires to be an atheist. The atheist must have faith that this is the case. No, it is depressing. As we saw with Dawkins' comment already shown, it cannot even give an answer for the reality of good and evil, even though everyday experience affirms it for us. Things like love and beauty are merely electrochemical misfiring of atoms in our brains, that give us the illusion that love and beauty exist. Humans, and every other sentient creature, are accidents of nature, as the atheist William Provini sums up.
Let me summarize my views on what modern evolutionary biology tells us, loud and clear, and I must say that these are basically Darwin's views. There are no gods, no purposive forces of any kind, no life after death. When I die, I am absolutely certain that I'm going to be completely dead. That's just all, that's going to be the end of me. There is no ultimate foundation for ethics, no ultimate meaning in life, and no free will for humans either. What an unintelligible idea.
The notorious serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer speaks truth, when he once said that on atheism all of us.
Evolution is truth, the theory of evolution is truth, that we all just came from the slime, and when we died, you know, that was it. There was nothing. So the whole theory cheapens life.
No meaning, no ethics, no purpose, the end of our existence in death. How does this at all equate atheism to a positive philosophy? Despite this, atheism will always remain a minority worldview in this world. In all honesty, it has grown in a handful of countries, mainly England, America and France, while it is a majority worldview in places like the Czech Republic and Estonia. Despite that, a study by the Center for the Study of Global Christianity suggests that religion is growing while atheism is declining. For instance, in 1970 there were around 165,500 atheists in the world, that equates to about 4.5% of the global population. Yet, in 2010, the number of atheists had fallen to 136,582, 200, or 2.0% of the population. It is expected that by 2020 their number of atheists worldwide will be at 136,685, 000. Although that is a small increase in absolute number, that will still be down to around 1.8% of the world population. What this suggests is that atheism shall always remain a minority view in this world for the foreseeable future. Further, Islam is set to become the world's largest religion in the year 2070 if current prediction models are correct. Beyond 2015, Muslim share of the world's population would equal the Christian share, at roughly 32% each, around 2070. By the year 2100, about 1% more of the world's population would be Muslim, 35%. Then Christian, 34%. Besides Christianity and Islam, other religions with the exception of Buddhism are also set to grow. For example, Judaism will grow by 16%, Hinduism by 34% and folk religions by 11%. This well suggests that the infinitesimal growth of atheism in relation to other worldviews is nothing at all to champion. Most of the world does not even care,